So today's lesson is called Adding and Subtracting Fractions. Today you're going to learn how to add and subtract fractions when they have like and unlike denominators. So in your notes, I want the subtitle, Like Denominators, our directions simplifying the following, and just number 1 for right now. Now looking at number 1, these are like denominators. Why are they like? Because I have a 5 and I have a 5. So what I'm going to do, my 5 is going to stay exactly the same, and now I need to add my numerators. So what's 3 plus 4? 3 plus 4 is 7. Now some are going to say, oh, I have the answer, 7/5. Wrong. What's wrong with it? If you notice, my numerator is bigger than my denominator, so how do I fix that? Let's go ahead and divide. Let's see, 5 into 7 once, get a remainder of 2, and so this is actually equal 1 and 2 fifths. Oops, a bad 5. And how was I able to do that? Because if I multiply this, 5 times 1 is 5, then add 2 to it, I'll get my 7. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want a proper fraction. So this is going to be your answer. Now, on your own, go ahead and try to solve number 2. What is number 2 going to look like? Now looking at number 2, once again, we have like denominators. We have an 8 and an 8. So my 8 stays exactly the same, and now I have to solve my numerators. In this case, it's 7 minus 3, which gives me 4/8. So I'm going to say like, yes, I have my answer, it's 4/8. You are wrong. Why are you wrong? I'm going to ask you, can I simplify this? Can I simplify? The answer is, yes, I can. Well, how can I do that? If I notice, I can divide this, the numerator by 4, denominator by 4, and I'm going to get 1/2. So 1/2 is going to be your answer. Make sure you check, can you simplify? Now in your notes, I want the heading, unlike denominators. Oh, and I forgot to put, I want you to put simplify, whoops, those are directions, simplify, and go and look at number 1. Now take a look. I have a 4 and I have a 5, so these two are unlike. So how do I solve this fraction? By finding the LCM, the least common multiple. So I have 4 and 5. Let's see, 4, if I break it down, is 1 and 4, 2 and 2, 5 is 1 and 5. If I circle all my primes, well, what's my least common multiple going to be? It's going to be 1 times 2 times 2 times 5, which will give me 20. And also, if you looked, 4 and 5 have nothing in common, so 20 automatically should be my least common multiple. So I've chosen 20 as my least common multiple. Don't forget we're adding them now. How does 5 become 20? 5 becomes 20 by multiplying it by 4. And whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. So 5 times 4 will give me my 20, which I'm looking for. Now I do 4 times 2, which will give me what? 4 times 2 will give me 8. And now, let's worry about my 4. So, 4 times what will give me 20? 5. If I do the bottom, I must do to the top. So 4 times 5 gave me my 20. Now, what's 5 times 3? 5 times 3 is going to give me 15. Now don't forget, we need to add, we need to simplify this as small as we can get it. So, this is going to equal, let's see, 15 plus 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 23 over 20. And that is my answer, right? Wrong. Why is that wrong? Take a look at my numerator. It's too big. So we need to do some little division. So let's see, 20 divided by 23 once. 3 is my remainder, so this is actually equal to 1 and 3 over 20. That is going to be your answer. Make sure we need to simplify it as small as we can get it. Now, go and try and do number 2 on your own. So looking at number 2, once again, you're going to need your LCM. And if I notice, 7 and 4, do they have anything in common? The answer is no. So what we're going to do 7 times 4, and that's going to give me 28. The least common multiple is going to be 28. So So I know that my new denominator is going to be 28. Other new denominator is going to be 28. We are subtracting, so I better have a little subtraction sign. So now, here's my question. How does 7 become 28? Oops. Become 28? By multiplying it by 4. Whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. So 4 times 5 is going to give me what? It's going to give me 20. Now, how does 4 become 28? By multiplying it by 7. We do the bottom, you must do the top. Now what's 1 times 7? 1 times 7 is 7. Now remember, we have to simplify. So what's 20 minus 7? That's going to give me 13 over 28. And you ask yourself, can I simplify this again? The answer is no. So my final answer is going to be 13 over 28. So make sure when you're dealing with an unlike denominator, you need to find the least common multiple in order to simplify these problems. Now our next subtitle is adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So we're going to be solving number 1 first to make sure it's in your notes. So first off, we take a look. We take a look at our whole numbers. So I have 2 plus 4. That is going to give me 6. Then take a look. I have an 8 and I have an 8. So these are like denominators, so I can go ahead and add them. So my 8 is not going to change, but what's 3 plus 7? That's going to give me 10. So I have my answer. My answer is all set and done, right? Wrong. What's wrong with this? My 10 is too big. So I do 8 divided by 10 once, 2. I'm going to get 2 8s. So I have 1 and 2 8s. What's wrong with this as well? If you notice, my 2 8s I can simplify. Divide it by 2, divide it by 2, and I get 1/4. But what did I forget? I forgot my 1. Don't forget to put it over there. So I have my 1 1/4. So is this my answer? Wrong. Why is this not my answer? Because I had this 6 to start with. So I have my 1 1/4 plus 6 is actually going to give me 7 1/4. 7 1/4 is going to be my answer. So make sure you have all these steps down. We have to have proper fractions. Now let's go take a look at number 2. So I have my whole number 8 and I'm subtracting it by 4 1/3. So how am I going to do this? Well, I can borrow from my 8. So if I take away from my 8, I'll have a 7. Now since I have a denominator of 3, what do you think my fraction should look like? Well, since I want to have a like denominator, I'll put it as 3 over 3. Why 3 over 3? Because it's equal to 1. And if I add it to that 7, I'll start it with off my 8 all the way back to the beginning. So that's how I'm borrowing. I'm borrowing that 3 over 3. So let's go ahead and rewrite this so it's a little nicer looking. So this is going to be equal to 7, 3 over 3. I am subtracting. And then my 4 1/3 comes along. So now, what do you think I should do? Well, I think I should go ahead and subtract. So I subtract my whole numbers. What's 7 minus 4? 7 minus 4 is 3. Now I have like denominators, so I go ahead and subtract my 2 numerators. I get 2/3. And the question is, can I simplify? The answer is no. Since I can't simplify, my answer is just going to be 3 2/3. That's all we're doing. So don't forget, you can borrow if you need be. Now in your notes, write the title, Adding or Subtracting Variable Expressions. Make sure you get the directions and go and write down number 1. Let's see how we're going to solve this. Now first off, don't panic. I've always taught you, treat variables like numbers. So first off, let's check and see. What were the first thing we checked with when we were looking at fractions? We look, are they the same? Yes. So that means I can combine them nice and easy. So I know my denominator is going to stay. Now, how do I figure out my numerator? Now don't panic, let's look at my variables. So first off, how many do x's have right there? Technically, I have a 1x. So if I have 1x here and 3x here, what do you think this is going to equal? Technically, it's going to equal 4x. Now don't say, yes, I got the answer, and circle it. This is not the final answer. Why? Our goal is to simplify, get it as small as we can. Now, Technically, you can rewrite this as 4 over 2 and put the x right on the back. These are equivalent. They are the same. But this looks a little nicer because once the x is gone, what do you think we can do? Whoops. If you take a look, I have 4 over 2. Can I simplify that? Yes, I can. What is 4 divided by 2? It's 2. What do I have left over? My x, 2x. So my answer becomes 2x. Now, on your own, go and try to solve number 2. What is this going to look like? So you should be treating your variables like numbers. But first off, we take a look. Is our denominator the same? Yes, it is. So that means I can go and solve this. So I know my denominator is not going to change. Let's take a look. I'm doing 6x minus 4x. Basically, this is 6 minus 4. What's 6 minus 4? 2. Don't forget, I have those variables, so it has to follow along. Now I can rewrite this as 2/7 k. Now my question to you, is this simplified? Yes, it is. Since it's simplified, this is going to be my answer. Now go and write down number 3. And don't forget, treat variables like a number. So don't panic about number 3. So let's take a look. This is a fraction. First look, do I look at my denominators? Are they the same? No, they are not. So that means I need to find a least common multiple. Now I have x and I have 5. What do they have in common? Nothing. If they have nothing in common, what should I do? I should multiply them together. So what is x times 5? x5, but I don't like that, so I'm going to change it to 5x. So what's going to be my least common multiple? 5x. Don't be scared. We're treating this variable just like a number. If they had nothing else in common, we'd still be multiplying them. Now here comes the tricky part. Okay, I'm going to rewrite my 6x minus 2/5 up here. That way we have more room to work. So what I've decided my least common multiple is going to be 5x, 5x, and we are subtracting. Now, question to you. What do I multiply x by in order to get 5x? Well, I'm going to multiply it by 5. Where I do the bottom, I must do to the top. So 5 times x will give me my 5x. That's what I'm looking for. Then, what's 5 times 6 going to give me? That's going to give me 30. So now let's take a look at my 5. How does 5 become 5x? What do I have to multiply it by? I have to multiply it by x. Whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, x over x, these will cancel out. It still gives me 1. It's just like 5 divided by 5 will give me 1 as well. We're treating the variables just like numbers. So we multiplied 5 times x gave me 5x. Now, what's 2 times x? 2 times x is going to give me 2x. Now, are my denominators the same now? Yes, they are. So that means I can go ahead and solve this. So I am subtracting. So I know 5x, my denominator is going to stay the same. Now, I have 30 minus 2x. Can I simplify that down any further? No, I cannot. So look and see what your answer is going to be. Your answer is actually going to be 30 minus 2x. This is going to be your answer. I know it looks ugly, but that's our answer. Remember, we can find the least common multiple with the variable, and we can still simplify as far as we can. Now I went to two-sentence summary. What did we learn today? We learned how to add like denominators, unlike denominators, if there's a whole number, even if there's variables. Two-sentence summary on what you've learned.